uncomfortable. It's very painful. But anyway, I was reflecting on that, and there were 3 lessons that I learned, and I want to share that with you. Hello beautiful, and welcome to Cultivating Inner Beauty, where we're all about loving our healthy selves from hair, skin, and nutrition, and that, my friend, starts from within. So if you're new to this channel, I share a lot of health and wellness tips with you guys, and one of the videos that I had in the past, I talked about having fibroids, and so I had like 40 of them. They were very painful. It's very uncomfortable. If you had them before, then I know you can definitely relate, or if you had like another health condition like PCOS or something, but it's very uncomfortable. It's very painful. But anyway, I was reflecting on that, and there were 3 lessons that I learned, and I want to share that with you. So if you know someone that's going through the same thing, maybe these 3 tips could help them. Be sure to share the video with them. And with that said, let's begin. The first lesson is, I wish I listened to my body much sooner. So no one knows your body better than God. That's the only other person that knows your body better than you do. And one of the things that happened to me was that I was experiencing, I just knew something different was happening to my body, and I couldn't pinpoint what it was. And so I would feel like these knots in my stomach, and they would come and go. I went to the doctor, and I told her about some of the symptoms I was having, and that doctor said to me that I'm too young to experience anything. And so it's all in my head. Don't think about it, just go ahead and move on. And because I listened to her and I didn't listen to my body, I ignored it for some time. And then I went back to get a second and third opinion about what was happening. And then that's when they confirmed that I had fibroids. And so that's the biggest lesson that I learned during that time, is that you always want to pay attention to your body. If you already, if you don't have one, then I encourage you to just find some type of way to document your feelings, like your symptoms. Me, sometimes I just use my journal, and I also use like different health apps sometimes to document some symptoms that I feel. So that way, when I go to the doctor, I can tell them exactly when I felt this way, what my body, how my body was responding, what foods I had, because it could be like a food issue. You just never know, but you just want to be extra mindful with how your body is responding to things, because our bodies are always communicating to us, but it's up to us if we're going to listen. The second lesson for me was being open to God's will for healing. Okay, so after I found out I had fibroids, that's when I really started to do research into how I can shrink these naturally. And the best way to this day is through your diet and lifestyle. And so that's when I really started to get into holistic practices and eventually became a holistic nutritionist. That was one of the experiences that led me into that direction. I also started looking at other women that had similar experiences, and I paid attention to their practices as well. And everyone had a common denominator, and that was either it was their diet and lifestyle and their faith, and that really changed it. And so that became my focus, so much so when I would pray to God, that was my only prayer, that He would change the result in my body through my diet. And I was believing Him for it, but I wasn't believing that His will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Now, my only way of thinking during that time is that God can only heal me through nutrition. And while He can and He will heal me through that area, that's not the only area that He could heal me in. But I couldn't understand it at that time. And so His way of healing me during that time was actually through surgery. Now, some people, He may not want to take you through surgery. Maybe He has a different plan for you. But when you seek God, you just want to pray for His will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Because however He wants to bless you, however He wants to heal you, that's going to help. That's going to help you minister to other people. And so if I hadn't gone through this the surgery route, and maybe he would have taken me through another route, I'm sure there would still be people for me to minister to, but I wouldn't have this story today to share with you. And also, I would like to say that because of the surgery route, which I thought was so negative at first, like it took me a long time to even settle with going to the doctors to get surgery, because I was like, I'm a nutritionist. Like I think people would come to me because I know all the foods and this could help them heal naturally. But I had to get out of that mindset. And one of the best things that I was able to take away from having surgery was that I was able to sit still long enough to hear more of his instruction for the rest of his plans for me. Well, at least some more of his plans for me during that time of my life. And if it wasn't for surgery, I wouldn't have been able to sit down long enough to receive that. I don't think so, because during that period, so many things was happening almost back to back. I wasn't able to really process anything, and mentally I had a lot of things going on. But because I was able to, I had no choice but to rest in that moment, like really lay down and rest. He really started the process of healing me, and not just through resting, but also during that time of rest, that's when I went into therapy. And so I was getting healed not only physically, but mentally as well. And so you just want God's will for your life. So seek Him first and see which way He wants to heal you. And the last lesson is all about speaking up. For the longest, I had an issue with speaking up to people because I was kind of nervous about their response to what I was seeing. So a lot of times I would just keep the thoughts to myself and just brush it under the rug. But during the time when I had fibroids, I really needed to speak up and be an advocate for myself when I was in the doctor's room. I now know that it was God that was giving me the confidence to speak in those situations, but it was definitely hard at first because I told you about my first experience when I went to the doctor and she told me that nothing was wrong with my body. I didn't speak up then, but I know I was feeling something. And so right after that, especially after I had like a miscarriage, that's when I really started to speak up in the doctor's office, because what was happening, the doctors that I was meeting with, they would talk a little bit with me and then they would just talk amongst themselves and just share a little bit of information with me. And so what I started doing was looking up things myself and asking specific questions to get more understanding of like my lab reports, what would surgery look like for me. Like I really needed to ask questions and really speak up, and just to show that I understand their language and I also understand like these reports, and just to create the environment that we could have that kind of communication going. And so I would say to you, be an advocate for yourself, especially when it comes to going into these rooms like this. You want to be as knowledgeable as you can about your health condition, and ask more questions to the doctors, because yeah, it's just so important that you do so. So my beautiful friend, we have come to the end, and I pray that these 3 tips really bless your socks off. So remember to be attentive to your body, pay attention to those symptoms, and number 2, you want to move into God's will. You want to obey God's will, because once you do that, then that's when the healing and the wholeness could take place. And then last but not least, well, it is the last thing in this video, is to be confident in the rooms that God placed you in. When you do those 3 things, then you have no choice but to let His blessings overtake you. And that's all I want for you this year. I pray this helps, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye, beautiful.